We tend to think of the natural world as this place of laws and, predictable order. But what if, for centuries, people understood it through its exceptions, through all the marvels and monsters and wonders that just seem to stretch the very limits of reality? Today, we're diving into a time when wonder wasn't just a feeling, it was actually the key to understanding nature itself. Okay, get this. This quote is from Robert Boyle, one of the founders of modern chemistry, writing way back in the 17th century. And what has him so totally captivated? A piece of glowing veal in his pantry. I mean, he's not discussed at all. He's filled with wonder and delight. This one single bizarre image, it just shows you a completely different mindset, right? A world where something weird wasn't a problem to be thrown out, but a marvel to be explored with genuine pleasure. And the thing is, for nearly 600 years, this sense of wonder was a sensual passion for intellectuals. It shaped science, philosophy, even art. And then almost overnight, it just vanished from elite culture. So what happened? Why did we trade a world that was absolutely packed with marvels for one governed by these uniform, predictable laws? Well, to figure that out, we first have to get our heads around what a wonder actually was. Because these weren't just fairy tales or something for kids. No, this was a serious category of knowledge. The key concept here, and you really gotta get this, is the preternatural. Think of it like this. There's the ordinary, everyday world, the mundane. And then there's the supernatural, the realm of divine miracles. The preternatural was this fascinating gray area right in the middle. It was for things that were real, totally part of nature, but that operated outside of its usual rules. And that's where wonders lived. And wow, the list of these wonders was all over the place. We're talking about monstrous births, which people saw as profound omens, gems that somehow glowed in the dark, springs that could literally turn wood into stone, the absolutely baffling lodestone, which just mysteriously attracted iron, and of course strange stuff happening in the sky, and all these wild reports of fantastical human races from the edges of the known world. Now, what's really fascinating is that these wonders weren't just thought to be scattered randomly around the globe. Nope. People believed they clustered in specific places, creating a kind of geography of the marvelous. And you can see that idea perfectly right here. This is the Hereford Mappamundi from the 1280s. See, at the center, you've got the known world, Jerusalem, Europe, but look out at the edges, at the fringes of Africa and Asia. They are just teeming with wonders. The headless blemmies, the Ceopodes with their one giant foot, all these bizarre animals. The further you got from the center, the weirder and way more wonderful the world became. This 14th century monk, Ranulph Higden, he just captured the idea perfectly. There was the sense that nature was, more orderly and predictable right here at home. But out at the world's margins, it just let loose. It experimented, it broke its own rules, it played with greater freedom. The edge of the map wasn't just far away, it was where the rules of reality itself seemed to bend. Okay, but what's really interesting is that the reaction to these marvels wasn't always, ooh, how delightful. Over time, there was this profound shift in how people felt when they came across something strange or monstrous. Initially, back in the early Middle Ages, that freedom of nature wasn't seen as playful at all. It was downright terrifying. The margins of the world were scary places. The monstrous races and beasts people described were seen as adversaries, cannibals, signs of pure chaos. In short, difference was dangerous. You can see the shift so clearly here. The whole perspective moved from horror to fascination. As Europeans started to travel more and trade expanded, what was once seen as a monstrous threat became a sign of nature's incredible variety. For example, the dog-headed cynocephaloid went from being depicted as these savage beasts you should be afraid of to being shown as exotic but totally civilized beings you could admire. Marco Polo's journals are just filled with this new way of seeing things. Just listen to how he describes a kingdom in India. He's not scared at all. He's in awe. He's marveling at the beauty and the novelty of it all. It's an aesthetic appreciation. The exotic had become a source of genuine pleasure, not fear. So all this change, this new appreciation for the weird and wonderful, it sets the stage for what is, really, the climax of our story. For a brief, brilliant moment in time, this passion for wonder wasn't just for travelers and collectors. It actually became a powerful engine for science and philosophy. Okay, let's just pause on this, because it's such a radical idea. In the 17th century, huge thinkers like Francis Bacon and René Descartes completely reframed wonder. They argued it wasn't a sign that you were ignorant, just the opposite. It was the spark, the fundamental passion that drives a person to investigate and to know. Wonder and curiosity became allies. Descartes defined it with such amazing precision. He called it a sudden surprise of the soul. But what does that surprise do? It forces you to consider attentively. In other words, wonder grabs your focus. It's a feeling that literally kickstarts your brain into investigation mode. Boyle felt it with his glowing meat, and that feeling immediately launched him into trying to figure it out. But this golden age, well, it didn't last. The intellectual culture of the Enlightenment brought on this dramatic, swift reversal, and wonder just fell from its pedestal. So how on earth did the ultimate passion of inquiry become a mark of ignorance? And the change was just stark. What the 17th century saw as the fuel for inquiry, the Enlightenment dismissed as a sign of ignorance. See, the new goal was to create a world governed by predictable, universal laws. And wonder, with its obsession with bizarre exceptions, became the enemy of that whole project. The marvelous was suddenly seen as vulgar, childish, and something for the uneducated masses who were just easily tricked. Yeah, the Enlightenment was all about championing reason, order, and, decorum. And wonder was seen as the ally of everything they were fighting against, this so-called unholy trinity. Enthusiasm, getting too worked up about something, superstition, believing things without a good reason, and an untamed imagination. These were seen as the enemies of clear, rational thought, and because wonder was tied to all three, it had to go. But you have to ask, was something important lost in this great reversal? The philosopher Michel Foucault certainly thought so. His call for a new age of curiosity is really a call to break free from these rigid categories, to find the strange in the familiar, and to value that raw passion for knowing, a passion that wonder once embodied so powerfully. And that really brings us to a final thought. In a world that seems so thoroughly explained, have we lost our capacity for that dizzying, investigative kind of wonder? Or have we just changed where we find it? Maybe we're not looking to monstrous races at the edge of a map anymore, but to the quantum realm, the deep cosmos, or even the complexities of our own consciousness. So I'll leave you with this. What in your world is still preternatural?